This budget vote marks a milestone in the life of the Department of Public Works. We are coming from the dark place characterized by corruption and mismanagement, evidenced by 8 years of qualified audits, topped off by a disclaimer in the previous audit. We know what the problems are now. We have developed a broad strategy to turn around the department. The task now is to implement. And maybe to quote yesterday's editorial in the New Age, and I quote, Nxesi must act swiftly, unquote. We welcome the allocated budget of nearly 18 billion for DPW in the fiscal year 2012-2013. This represents an increase of approximately 2% from the previous year's budget. On the EPWP, this is a flagship program of this department and of government, part of our response to the triple challenge of poverty, unemployment, and inequality, which was highlighted by the President in his State of the Nation address. Our target in the second phase of the EPWP for the period 2009 to 2014 is to create 4.5 million work opportunities, with more than 2 million work opportunities already created since 2009. We are well on our way to exceeding that particular target. Moreover, in our choice of the projects, we seek to improve the quality of life of our poorest communities. Examples include the social sector programs such as community-based care and early childhood development, the environment and the culture program, which includes projects concerned with management of water, fire, waste, and coastal regions. Also, large-scale infrastructure projects, which provide skills training to the young people. On the capital projects, let me list some of the recently completed large projects. The major renovations to the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein, the Kimberley Correctional Center, the South African Police Forensic Laboratory in Paro. The laboratory was constructed on green building principles with the purpose of constructing or of contributing to the fight against crime. On prestige, the following steps have been taken to revamp the prestige with the objectives of improving service to our clients. Prestige has been placed under the dedicated senior official to ensure that it receives the focus required. Policies are being developed to govern the acquisition and the control of the movable assets. The specialized areas of facilities management, events management are being separated to provide greater focus and accountability. There is now close monitoring of the service providers. And most important, we are now committed to a process of formal consultation with MPs to ensure service to the clients. I want to conclude this progress report on this turnaround strategy for the department. Let me clarify what I mean by a turnaround strategy. First, I'm not talking about a one-size-fits-all blueprint imposed by external consultants. A successful change process has to come from within the departments and must embed skills in the departments. So I'm going to use those workers inside the department, but I'm going to turn their attitude so that they can be able to do the work. Secondly, any successful turnaround starts with strong and determined leadership. That's my job from the side of the executive authority. But also, it requires strong leadership within the department and a shared vision of what we want to achieve. Third, we speak about a turnaround strategy. In other words, we're talking about, Honorable Chairperson, a process, not an event. We must not think that miracles are going to happen tomorrow. It's a process which is going to be painful, but it's necessary, it's rigorous. So it's a long-term process. There will be short-term, there will be medium-term, and even long-term issues. So it's not going to be an event. Fourthly, as DPW, we do not have the luxury of time. We are running a business. This is a paradox which faces us as a department. To stabilize the operations of the department short-term, whilst we embark on a fundamental review and transformation in the long term. The process has unfolded as follows. After a widespread consultation with the assistance of the Treasury Technical Assistant Unit TAU, which drew up a rapid diagnostic report, I was able to announce a series of measures at the end of January. These necessary measures include the following: the establishment of this interministerial committee to provide advice and political support to the department. I've invited the following ministers to assist me: Finance, Home Affairs, Rural Development and Land Reform, and Performance Monitoring and Evaluation in the Presidency. The broad support will be crucial in turning around the department. And of course, we are carefully studying the successes of Home Affairs and even SARS in particular. Those were done by the officials of this department of government. I need to share with you a second task is the establishment of a support team under the Office of the Director General of the department to oversee and manage the change process, both for the purposes of stabilization and long-term transformation. There is no point in putting such a team in the ministry because ministers change with every elections, sometimes even sooner. So that capacity has to be built and institutionalized in the office of the DG. So the support will include a core group to institutionalize and manage the change process, as well as expertise. And I want to underline, expertise, Honorable Dreyer, in the core functional areas of the department. That's what we want to do. Departmental officials are working closely with the audit firm, Ernst & Young, on the desktop exercise to reconcile deeds, records, and other existing database to identify the gap. This exercise, confidently, will be complete by the end of this month. The cleansing of all gaps identified, accompanied by physical verification of selected properties contained in the cleansed database, will take further another year because we have to practically verify physically each and every asset. And currently we are talking about 35,000 assets. So even my quick win takes a year to complete here because we must be sure of what we are talking about. On the leases, there are no quick wins with the leases. Years of poor management and undercapacity and lack of financial controls have provided fertile terrain for fraud and corruption. Serious irregularities have come to light thanks to the detailed work of the SIU. It is for this reason that shortly after my appointment, I removed certain financial delegations to the regions of the department, such as withdrawing their powers to sign the leases. 22 such leases have already been identified in one region, involving payment of over 64 million. This includes leases where the DPW has paid for the duration of a lease without a building being occupied. We've instructed our department, we've instructed our lawyers to approach the High Court to nullify these irregular leases agreements. We are instituting civil action against whosoever has unduly benefited. Criminal cases are being opened against several officials. More expected, I'm informed that some investigations have been concluded and we are awaiting the action from the SAPs in this respect. As far as the much publicized SAPs list is concerned, the department launched an application to the High Court to declare this list invalid. The matter is now before the court for adjudication. As our colleagues in Treasury pointed out, our Parliament, to Parliament last month, with the private leases for government offices running up to 3 billion per annum, costs are rising unsustainably, and they represent a drain on the public resources, which could be used productively elsewhere. Treasury has announced a joint program with the Department of Public Works to audit all the current leases of the department with the following objectives: to identify irregular leases, to collect monies owed to the department, to establish a reliable lease register, to review and strengthen the systems of the department relating to lease management, and to train and capacitate staff accordingly. In fact, the review has already started, building on the excellent diagnostic work done by the SIU. A high-level steering committee has been established of the Treasury and the departmental official, which has adopted terms of reference and is developing a charter to regulate the roles and responsibilities of the department and the client departments. This also goes to the heart of the service to client departments. This is why, in relation to the police, my acting DG, together with the HOD of the SAPS, have established a joint technical task team which is looking into all the problems. The same approach has been extended to all the other departments. We're establishing task team with the client departments so that we deal with all the problems. To develop a metaphor I used previously, I talked about DPW still in the ICU, but we are now stopping the bleeding and stabilizing the patient before deciding on the appropriate long-term treatment. Of course, a successful turnaround depends on getting the right people in the right places and capacitating and using the people we have optimally. Crucial, new appointments and secondments from entities and departments have taken place to provide immediate support in the following areas: on operations, on finances, monitoring and evaluation, supply chain management, property and built environment. A support team leader has already been appointed, while an open tender advert has gone out for further members of the team, as well as for a panel of experts to carry out specific projects. But we are very clear. We're going to monitor these people. They are going to work for a particular time frame. They must leave a skill behind when they leave so that things do not collapse. Train those workers or even help us to recruit the right skill. In general, the approach is as follows: stabilize leadership as quickly as possible. Identify and stabilize areas of the greatest threat. Build capacity around the office of the DG. As far as possible, mobilize resources from within the public service. There are other departments who are having the people who have done it. We will borrow those people. And where we have to use service providers, ensure that we embed that capacity in the department as part of the process. I particularly want to thank those public officials of the Department of Public Works who, despite the existence of corruption, they remain honest, they remain professional and committed, and who, despite all the negative publicity, have not lost hope and are actively assisting in the turnaround. And through our turning around, we are giving hope, and we are going to turn it around. My message to them is clear, that together we can achieve so much more. I thank you.